Despite being entirely preventable, drinking and driving still claims the lives of 37 people in America every day. That's one fatality from alcohol-impaired driving every 39 minutes. Driving under the influence not only puts you and others in grave danger, but also carries lasting consequences. For starters, you could lose your license, or be required to pay exorbitant insurance rates for years, or worse yet, be convicted of vehicular manslaughter. Trust me, you don't want that. Just watch a few sentencing videos of people who are completely messed up, having to live with the fact that they killed someone. So in this video, I'm going to reveal which states are the worst for drunk driving, so you can be prepared the next time you're passing through, or know what you're getting into if you plan to move there. We'll compare both DUI arrests and alcohol-related fatalities from these sources here over a 5-year period. And you'll be surprised to find out that 4 of the top 5 are in a region of the United States that you were not expecting. Number 10, Oklahoma. Widely feared for its deadly tornadoes, which have killed 348 people since 1950. Oklahoma is home to some of the most frequent and powerful twisters. But here's a twist that you might not be expecting. You're 4,300% more likely to die from an impaired driver than a tornado, as they kill more people in just 2 years than all the tornadoes have in the last 75 years. The Sooner State ranks 10th in the nation for DUI arrests, which may be partly due to its zero-tolerance law for underage drinking and driving. But with 333.63 DUIs for every 100,000 drivers, there's a lot of impaired driving going on. I mean, check out this video of Oklahoma City Police Captain James French being arrested for a DUI.
How much we had to drink tonight, sir? I am above the law!
Sorry, James, we ain't turning off the body cam. You're going to jail. In Oklahoma, almost 25% of all traffic deaths are caused by drunk drivers. So the next time you're passing through Oklahoma in May and are fearful of those tornadoes that might be coming through, just remember, you're far more likely to die from a drunk driver than a tornado. Number 9, Missouri. The gateway to the West and home of the Ozarks may be just the place you're planning to vacation this year, but take some extra caution on the road with you, because the Show Me State has shown us some gruesome statistics when it comes to drinking and driving, including one of its own police chiefs, Greg Hall, who was hammered drunk back in 2022, and despite failing every conceivable test, was ultimately hugged and driven home by another police chief.
Nathan, if I take him home, or are you going to have any issues? Not at all, Chief.
A sickening miscarriage of justice, especially when Missouri has 336.63 DUI arrests for every 100,000 drivers. Just because he was a police chief didn't mean that they should pat him on the back and take him home.
You've always said, Chief, no one is above the law.
All that does is encourage more drunk driving, which causes 28.54% of all traffic deaths in the state. Number 8, South Carolina. If you're headed out to South Carolina during Bike Week, or any other time for that matter, be on the alert for drunk drivers.
You know, I drive drunk all the time.
Some studies out there are showing South Carolina to be the worst in the nation for drunk driving, based off of just last year's statistics and also a DUI loophole that many are pretty upset about, saying it allows DUI convicts to keep driving. So even though they have 257.93 DUI arrests for every 100,000 drivers each year, they see far less convictions, and many are repeat offenders. In South Carolina, just over a third of all traffic deaths are caused by drunk drivers, and there are 7.57 drunk drivers involved in fatal crashes for every 100,000 drivers. Number 7, New Mexico. I've never understood why this is considered the land of enchantment, because all I think about is rock formations, red dirt, and alien conspiracies, but I guess that's enough for some in this last stretch of the Wild West. Maybe the good old folks of New Mexico should go back to horseback riding though, because their drunk drivers are out of control. Check out this video of a 12-year-old girl being arrested for drunk driving. Yeah, that's way too young to be drinking or driving, let alone both and being drunk.
Hey, I've been driving drunk since I was 12.
Or this former New Mexico police officer sentenced to 26 years for killing 2 people after driving down the wrong way while completely intoxicated. 32.02% of all traffic deaths in New Mexico are caused by drunk drivers, and these drivers make up nearly 8 in every 100,000 drivers that are involved in fatal accidents. One thing I found curious was that the DUI arrests, like South Carolina, are below 300 for every 100,000 drivers, meaning more end up not getting caught before the damage is done. Number 6, Oregon. If you know anything about Oregon, you know that people are weird here, especially in Portland, so it doesn't surprise me that some of them think it's fine to mix drinking with driving. They probably just think it's part of keeping Portland weird, but driving drunk isn't something to be confident about or a cultural norm that's worth preserving. Not only does it cost taxpayers $1 billion a year in this state, it also takes away precious life that cannot be quantified. Drunk drivers cause 35.89% of all traffic deaths in the state, which is the third highest in the nation. And there are 393.76 DUI arrests for every 100,000 drivers. Number 5, North Dakota. This northern state is known for its harsh winters and agricultural products like wheat and oil, but now you also know it's one of the top 5 states with the worst drunk drivers. It's also a major rail transportation hub, with BNSF operating one of its largest freight networks, and I-94 being a major east-west route that runs across the state. With all that transportation and, of course, dumb people,
I hit bottom when drunk driving arrest.
it's no wonder alcohol-related driving is so high. Nearly 1/3 of all traffic deaths are caused by drunk drivers in North Dakota, even though they have the second highest level of DUI arrests in the nation at 832.5 per 100,000 licensed drivers. You know, it probably would be better off if they went back to railway transportation exclusively, since 6.11 out of every 100,000 drivers are drunk when they are involved in fatal accidents. Number 4, Wyoming. As the home of Yellowstone National Park and one of the more beautiful, quiet states in America that also has the lowest population of any state, it's kind of surprising that Wyoming is also known for its horrendous drivers. This actually affected me personally too. As a young boy, my family and I vacationed twice in Yellowstone, and both times on our way home, we were stopped for over 4 hours due to a driving incident. Now, of course, I don't know if alcohol was involved, but the more recent time was a full-size tractor trailer that was completely on fire, and a lot of people were saying he was recklessly driving right before this happened. You'd think that a low population state with far less drivers than any other state would never make such a list, but unfortunately, the people of Wyoming have some serious education to pass on that drunk driving kills. More than 1/3 of all traffic fatalities are caused by drunk drivers, and they are the third highest in the nation for DUI arrests at 629.12 for every 100,000 drivers. They are also the third highest in the nation for the number of those drunk drivers involved in fatal crashes, compared to the total number of licensed drivers at 8.22. So on your next trip to Yellowstone, be cautious on the road and don't drive if you've had too much to drink. Number 3, Texas. When I asked my mother-in-law recently which state she thought was the worst state for drunk driving, she immediately said Texas. Now, it wasn't the answer I was looking for, but it sure was close. I get the feeling that everyone knows just how bad drivers are in Texas, but add alcohol to the mix and it's even worse. In fact, there were almost 1,100 alcohol-related deaths in Texas just last year. And for every 100,000 drivers, there are nearly 340 arrests each year for DUIs. Many feel like it's not even enough because Texas is the second highest in the nation for the number of impaired drivers involved in traffic deaths. And they rank second in the nation for traffic deaths directly caused by drunk drivers at 42.37%. They weren't kidding when they said everything was bigger in Texas, but let's hope and pray these numbers start coming down. Number 2, South Dakota. Probably most famous for Mount Rushmore and the Badlands, South Dakota draws in about 15 million visitors every year. That's 15 times its own population of 1 million people. In fact, the famous Sturgis motorcycle rally alone attracts 500,000 visitors each year and results in over 100 DUI arrests at each event. Drunk drivers in South Dakota cause 35.14% of all traffic deaths, and 5.6 out of every 100,000 licensed drivers are impaired when involved in fatal crashes. They also have the highest DUI arrests in the nation at 879 for every 100,000 drivers. That's a lot of bad decisions, and it makes you wonder how many are repeat offenders. And what do you know, here's another police chief that couldn't keep his hands off the wheel after drinking, setting a very poor example to young drivers in South Dakota. Well, I don't know about you, but the Badlands just got a whole new definition for me. Alright, before we get to number 1, I wanted to highlight some other sobering statistics. In 2020, alcohol consumption among adults over 30 increased significantly in the United States as people isolated in their homes for, well, reasons I won't mention, or YouTube might label this video and demonetize me for saying some trigger words. Anyway, of course, statistics started showing an increase in deadly car crashes involving drunk drivers. But as life returned to normal and people began to get out more in 2021 and beyond, drunk driving deaths only continued to rise. As a nation, we've actually backpedaled and are now at rates we haven't seen in over 20 years. Number 1, Montana. Shocking, isn't it? In fact, take a look at this map. Aside from Texas, the worst states for drunk driving are concentrated right here in the upper Midwest to West region of the United States. All of these states have lower populations, high visitor counts, or see a lot of traffic pass through them, and makes you wonder what exactly is contributing to all these poor decisions. For Montana, much of it is due to the work hard, play hard lifestyle, which often includes alcohol as a reward for hard work. With so little public transportation and many young, bored drivers looking for something to do, or pressure from friends, or overconfidence, drunk driving has become a serious problem in this state. For the amount of drunk driving in Montana, only 450.5 DUI arrests for every 100,000 drivers seems kind of low to me. Nearly 44% of all traffic deaths are caused by drunk drivers, the highest in the nation. Even Mothers Against Drunk Driving ranks Montana as dead last in DUI prevention, which contributes to hundreds of lives being destroyed every year, especially when offenders keep getting back on the road. Out of every 100,000 licensed drivers in Montana, 8.57 are drunk when involved in fatal crashes. So yeah, Montana has a serious problem. If you enjoyed this video, check out this other one on the most dangerous time to drive in America.